YouTube at MPC, and today I've got a prop with me for our tutorial. In today's tutorial we're going to talk about arrays, and I'm going to demonstrate it using this thing. So I made a tutorial in GameMaker about arrays, and I used the bookcase example, and I figured since I'm filming myself in real life now, I might as well use an actual bookcase, or in this case, close enough. So what an array is, it's a combination of several variables. So we're going to use a bookcase as an example, and we're going to assign a variable to each one of these shelves. So let's say for this first shelf, we're going to call the variable shelf1. And it doesn't really matter what type, we can make it a byte or yeah, we'll make it a byte. We'll call it byte shelf1, and it's going to equal the amount of DVDs or discs I have on the row. So in this case, byte shelf1 is going to equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright? And then we'll go with the same process with the second shelf. So second shelf is byte shelf2, and byte shelf2 equals 10. Third one, byte shelf3 equals 9. Byte shelf4 equals 7. So we have 4 variables here: shelf1, shelf2, shelf3, shelf4. And what we're gonna do is instead of having 4 variables, we're gonna create one array. And the way an array works is, naming just a little different variables. So this one will be called, we'll change it to, in order to make an array, we'll change it to shelf open bracket 0 close bracket, shelf open bracket 1 close bracket, shelf open bracket 2 close bracket, shelf open bracket 3 close bracket. And the use of this is we can plug in variables in the brackets to find which shelf. So we're going to create a variable called index. I'm going to say index equals 1. So remember, this one was shelf 0, 1, 2, 3. And if index equals 1, we try to find shelf open bracket index close bracket. That will give us this shelf because index equals 1 and this is shelf 1. So shelf index will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how it works. If you say, give me the 0th index of the shelf array, that will give us this one, and it will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the 0th index. Then if we say the second index of the array, that's 0, 1, 2. This is the second index of the array, and that equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is the concept behind arrays. I hope you guys understood it. If you don't understand it now, hopefully you understand by the end of this tutorial. So here it comes. Okay, here we go. So I've already created the class and the main method, so I just named the class arrays, and I've called the file accordingly, and I've set the main method, just like always. So now we're going to create a variable. I'm going to call it byte shelf, and we're just going to set equal to our first input. We already learned how to do this, so shouldn't need to explain it. Alright, so shelf equals byte.parseByte, args 0. We know how to do all there is to it. And now we're going to do something new and create an array. So it's going to be a byte array. You can make an array of any data type, and we're going to name the array bookcase. So this is just like anything else. First start the type, and then you put down the name. The only difference is, at this point, is that these brackets here need to be added on to signify it's an array. And because there's only one set of brackets, that means it's a single dimensional array. You don't have to know multi-dimensional arrays, but just know that that's single dimensional, that's 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, and so on. But I'm not going to talk about multi-dimensions in this tutorial anyway, so anyway, that's that. And it doesn't matter if you put the brackets after the type or after the name. So I could put after bookcase just like that, and it means the same thing, which is also the property used in this args array. Like, I could put it either after args, or I can put it after the string, the data type. So it's the same thing. Now I'm going to type in new byte 4, and then now it's created. So this is what the settings for it, you could say. And I use this thing called new, and it's new operator, and I haven't used it before. The new operator is used whenever you create a variable. It technically can be used for the primitive data types, and it can be used for the string, but it's starting to become useful at this point, because at this point there's a lot more settings that's involved when you create them, and that's really when you use the new operator. So what byte 4 means byte array with 4 elements. So what this is basically saying is, if I were to put in a sentence, create a byte array that is equal to a brand new byte array with 4 elements. So this just says equal to a new thing. You're not setting equal to something that's already in use, an old array for instance, but you're setting it equal to a brand new array that you want to create. That's what the new operator means, and it means we have 4 elements. So if we tried to add 5 in there, we would get a glitch. If we tried to add 3 and you wanted to look up the 4th one, then you'd get a glitch as well. So you gotta make sure that you have random elements. So now we're gonna decide what to put down for the first index or element. So bookcase 0, and this is going to be the same values that we had in our bookcase in the abstract concepts. I'm going to put a little picture in the corner of the screen so that you can have that for reference. So we're going to set that an equal to 7. Alrighty, first one's 7, and now we're going to move on to the second one. Oh, bookcase 1, and that one is 10. And next one, bookcase 2 is equal to 9, and bookcase 3 is equal to 7. And now I've set out all our variables. These are 4 lines, one for each of the 4 elements, which matches with our 4 up here. Please notice that although we have created 4 elements, the highest index or the highest element number is 3. So that's just because it's a 0-based system, and 0 is included in the 4 elements, so 3 is as high as it goes. I hope you're following me so far. So we've created an array with 4 elements, and we've set each of those elements equal to a different number. So if we wanted to know what the second element in the array was, we would look up bookcase 1 and we would get 10. So as you recall, we created this shelf variable in the beginning, and that's going to represent which element we're going to call up. So if we're looking for the top shelf, or shelf 0, it'll be equal to 7 because it's the 0th element. And if looking up shelf 1, or the second shelf down, it'll be shelf 1, which is equal to 10. So we're going to print that out. And in here, I'm going to type down bookcase shelf. And this is what really makes arrays useful, is that I can have the shelf variable, I can set it equal to whatever, and I can look up values in the bookcase using that variable, in the bookcase array using that variable. So I've plugged in shelf into the bookcase array, and then I'm going to look up how many books there are on that shelf. So if we put down 0 for the shelf, means the top shelf, it'll look up 0 in the bookcase array, and 0 in the bookcase array is 7. If we looked up, wanted to look up the third shelf down, so that's 0, 1, 2, then it'll be equal to 2, and plug in 2 in the bookcase array, then we find that equal 9, I'll print out 9. So that is all I can really explain. You'll learn more from just using it more and playing around with it. So now we're going to compile it and then run it. And now I'm going to put down which shelf. So top shelf 0, second from the top is 1, next is 2, and next is 3. So I'm going to put down 0, the top shelf, and it will type down, could not find your load. Oh, I'm sorry. It's arrays plural. There we go. And types down 7. That's right, because on the 0th shelf, there are 7 books. And then, I'll just keep going down the line here. On the 1th shelf, or first shelf, meaning the second one down, it's 10. Then right here, there's 2, there's 9. And then if we looked up 3, there's 7. So that's how arrays work. That's really all there is to it. If you understand this, you are well on your way to understanding how arrays work. A lot of people have trouble with this, but this is very useful. You can use it for inventories and that kind of stuff, and you'll find yourself using it a lot. So be sure to understand arrays. So now to test whether you understand it, let's try out the challenge. So for this challenge, I'm sort of going to be a little bit lazy. I'm going to reuse one of my older challenges. This is going to be the same challenge I used in my basic logic one, only this time you only need to input a number in order to get what the ID represents. In case you don't remember it, this is just going to be used for when you want to look up Minecraft IDs when you want to spawn items in Minecraft. Each number can be represented by an ID. So let's say you wanted to find the ID for 5. So type it on Java arrays. See, that's just why I named it. And 5, and tell you that's the ID for wooden planks. And then I could do 10 and lava. So this is a lot easier with arrays than it is with logic operations. But yeah, so it's a lot more efficient this way. I'd say it probably takes about 2 to 3 times as much code to do it the other way than it does this way. And it's easier to modify it this way as well. That said, I did use different method for this. The goal of this tutorial was to teach you the concepts behind arrays, but I didn't tell you all the ways that you can create arrays, because there's like probably 3 or 4 ways that you can create arrays. I just showed you the most generic one that will probably help you most. But there's one that can be done with less space, and as a part of the challenge, I recommend that you look up a more efficient way of doing this. Because like for this one, I did over 30 different items in here, and it took probably less time. Oh, I didn't do 58, but you get the point. So good luck. Anyway, so that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you found this challenge helpful, I also have a website that contains more challenges. So go head over to that website. It also contains my games and a list of my game making tutorials, and it'll contain my Java tutorials as well in the near future. Yeah, so please rate and comment to support my videos, and if you want to see more, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.